The gift of courage. Thomas Sullivan had learned long ago that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear worn-out sneakers and a faded jacket that's seen better days. At 62, Thomas lived quietly in a modest apartment on Maple Street. His closest companion was a golden retriever named Bootia, a loyal friend who'd stuck by him through the difficult years after he came home from service. Together, they took daily walks through the neighborhood, greeting familiar faces, watching the seasons change. That Tuesday afternoon started like any other. Thomas and Buddy were returning from their usual route when Buddy suddenly stopped. His ears perked up. Then came the sound of a child's cry. It's barely audible above the street noise. Thomas turned toward the old Victorian house on the corner. Smoke was beginning to seep from a second-floor window. Without thinking, he moved toward the house. His knees weren't what they used to be, and his back often ached, but some instincts never fade. Buddy barked urgently, pulling at the leash. The front door was unlocked. Inside, smoke filled the hallway. Thomas called out, following the sound of crying to a small bedroom. There, huddled in the corner, was a little girl maybe 7 years old, clutching a stuffed rabbit. "It's okay, sweetheart," Thomas said softly, keeping his voice calm. "I'm here to help." He wrapped her in a blanket from the bed, lifted her into his arms, and carried her down the stairs. Buddy led the way, never leaving their side. Outside, neighbors were already calling for help. The sirens grew louder. Thomas set the girl down gently on the grass, checking to make sure she was breathing clearly. Her eyes were wide with fear, but she was safe. "You're going to be just fine," he told her, brushing soot from her hair. "What's your name?" "Emma," she whispered. "That's a beautiful name." "I'm Thomas, and this is Buddy." The dog nuzzled Emma's hand, and for the first time she smiled. The fire trucks arrived. Paramedics took over. In the commotion, Thomas quietly stepped back. He'd done what needed doing. Nothing more, nothing less. 3 days later, there was a knock at his door. The woman standing there looked polished and professional, but her eyes held the unmistakable vulnerability of a mother who'd almost lost everything. Beside her stood Emma, holding the same stuffed rabbit. "Mr. Sullivan," the woman said. "I'm Catherine Bennett. This is my daughter." Thomas recognized Emma immediately. "How are you feeling, young lady?" Emma stepped forward and wrapped her arms around his waist. "Thank you for saving me," Catherine's voice cracked. "I was in a board meeting when I got the call. I don't even want to think about what would have happened if you hadn't been there." She paused, composing herself. "I run a software company downtown. I've spent my whole career solving problems, building things, managing people. But I couldn't be there when my daughter needed me most." "You or anyone would have done the same," Thomas said quietly. "But you did do it," Catherine replied, "and I can never truly repay that." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "I know this can't equal what you gave us, but please accept this." Thomas opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000. He stared at it for a long moment, then carefully folded it and handed it back. "I appreciate the thought, ma'am, but I can't accept this." Catherine looked stunned. "Mr. Sullivan, I didn't do it for money," he said gently. "I did it because it was the right thing to do, because that little girl needed help, and I was there to give it." "Then at least let me help you somehow," Catherine said. "Please." Thomas glanced down at Emma, who was now petting Buddy. He thought about all the veterans he knew who were struggling. Men and women who'd served their country and come home to find themselves forgotten. "If you really want to help," he said slowly, "there's a veterans center 3 blocks from here. Good people running it, but they're always short on funding. If you could direct your generosity there, it would mean more than you know." Catherine smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Consider it done." Over the following months, Catherine became a regular donor to the center. She helped fund counseling services, job training programs, and housing assistance. But more than that, she and Emma became friends with Thomas and Buddy. They'd meet for walks in the park, share stories over coffee, bridge the gap between their different worlds. Emma learned that heroes come in quiet packages. Catherine learned that success isn't measured only in boardrooms and profit margins. And Thomas was reminded that kindness given freely Without expectation has a way of rippling outward in ways we can never fully predict. On warm Sunday afternoons, you could find them all together, a veteran and his dog, a CEO and her daughter walking through the neighborhood, greeting familiar faces, grateful for second chances and the simple grace of human connection. Some gifts Thomas knew can never be repaid. They can only be passed forward.